I can do it.
Hey everybody, my name is Byron. I'm with Eklund Avenue, and I'm joined here by Gazzy, Renee, Richard, and we might have some other panelists join a little bit later on. Today we're going to be talking about Git and how to use it, how to thrive with it, how not to get stuck into sticky situations with Git. We're going to have lots of questions and lots of information, and we're also going to have something that you can take away in the form of a document that gives you some cheats and some hints and some guidelines. So without taking up too much time, I want to go ahead and pass it off to Gazzy and the guys and let you all take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Byron. So let me start by making sure that can all of you see my screen, and is that readable enough?
Yes.
I can see it.
It's readable for me.
Okay. Just let me get rid of this. All right, cool. So we've been as a dev team in Eklund, I've noticed a lot of common Git pitfalls that we've been falling into. So as I proposed this growth session to go through some of the errors that we've been seeing and how to solve them. So let's start by the most common error that I've ever seen. When faced with a merge conflict, I've seen a lot of devs try to merge the main branch into their feature branch, which is a big no for the method that we're using. For those out there unfamiliar with what we use, we're using the Git flow model, and it espouses one branch per feature. All merges are non-fast forwarding. There's a branch per environment, and it's a couple of other things, but that's the gist of it. And the problem with merging one of the main feature branches, for example, master, into a feature branch, is that you're kind of removing that that separation. The whole point behind having one branch per feature is that it makes it easier to move features around, or undo features if if it should be necessary. Sorry. The other thing that I've noticed is that when faced with a merge conflict, after fixing it in a somewhat proper way, devs are faced with not being able to push the branch directly upstream, and instead they do a forced push, which can destroy other people's works. So pushing a forced branch is a big no. The only time you are allowed to force push a branch is when you're working on your own branch and you're aware of all the consequences. So at least if you do git push force and you break something that you did, it's your code. At least you don't step on anybody else's toes.
And you get to fix it.
Exactly. So without going any further right now on the different pitfalls, I want to show you a test repo that I've done here to illustrate when conflicts might occur. So I have a repo here, so you can see what's actually in here. This is everything that's in the repo right now. That's it. And I have two different branches aside from master. I've got branch 2, which is at the same stage as master, and branch 1, which is one commit ahead of master. Their branches 1 and 2 are feature branches. So what I've done in branch 1 is I've added a file called newfile.txt that contains a single line of code. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to check out branch 2 for a second, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Just line 2, new file text.
So you created a new text file. Its contents is line 2. Then you added that. A lot of times we do git add dash capital A, which is what you just did. You just did a specifically new file text.
Right.
A lot of times we do a git add dash A to add that.
Right.
And then you committed.
Correct. And the well, I'll get into the git add pitfalls later on. But for now, let's focus on this thing. So now we have both branches 1 and 2 that created the file newfile.txt. And let's say let's simulate a couple of pull requests right now. So I'm going to do and let's assume that branch 1 is merged first. So we're going to do git merge. This last flag that I'm adding here is no fast forward. It's GitHub's default. For those of you unfamiliar with what a fast forward does, is that in the case of this commit, since branch 1 is a direct descendant of master's current position, if I just do a regular merge, what's going to happen is that master's reference will be fast forwarded to branch 1's reference. And then we're gonna kind of lose the whole branch per feature thing, because we're gonna have branch 1 and master pointing to the same commit. So by doing this, I'm forcing a merged commit to be introduced. So this is what happens. You can see now that there's a commit merge commit here, which merges master's old reference and branch 1's new reference. This is what happens, like I said, with GitHub pull requests. Now let's simulate.
Yeah, I've always noticed in GitHub there's always like a merge branch commit whenever we merge a pull request. So that's what's going on there.
Yeah. And now let's assume that this thing that happened, this 2 branches creating this new file, happened sort of simultaneously by 2 different developers, and then Dev 1 opened the pull request for branch 1, and then here comes Dev 2 trying to open the pull request for branch 2. And then if you did this on GitHub, oh wait, what happened here? I'm sorry, let me double check and make sure I didn't screw something up here. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna have to reset here for a sec. I think I screwed up my example. I'm going to do a git reset. What I'm doing here is forcing master to go back to when it was pre-merge. Let me double check. I think I screwed something up with branch 2. I didn't include the text. My bad. Turns out that the file was empty. I just added this line 2 here. My bad. Sorry about that. See? Yeah, okay, now we're going. That was supposed to be an oops, but anyways. So now we actually go back to master. We try this again.
See, you need to add first in order to commit it.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot the A here. My bad. Now we're back. So this is what we're looking at right now. Just let me. Here we go. This is where we're at right now. Now let's try this again.
Hey, in your GitK, why are those branches red now?
No reason whatsoever. That's just the coloring that GitK applies.
Okay.
It's when you have tons of branches, it just uses several different colors. Okay, so now we run into a merge conflict because both branches added the new file, the new file.txt file, with different content. So we're obviously faced with a merge conflict. Now, here we have two possible options. We can either resolve this conflict manually, as I'm doing right now, or we can rebase the new branch on top of master so that it already integrates master's changes while still retaining its own separateness.
Now that's something that that's the more common scenario in our company, because we want to maintain the pull request system and manage all that. So it requires us to get the branch ready to merge instead of merging it manually into like a master develop branch.
Correct. So for this case, I'm gonna do a conflict resolution manually. Let me use my merge tool.
What are you using for merge tool?
I'm using kdiff3 just because I love me some kdiff3.
Me too. Richard, tell us how you merge things.
I open the files and do the
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
I mean,
Richard's
I prefer
hardcore.
that way.
Richard's hardcore. I don't know anybody else that does it that way, but it
You
means
know-
that Richard understands extremely well all those little symbols,
Yep.
those little merge conflict symbols.
And
Yeah.
actually, since you brought that up, I just wanna open the file for a second.
Thanks, man.
You got it.
Thanks.
By the way, most of the developers are using kdiff3, but they didn't know what the 3 columns mean.
So
They use remote and the local.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
and I can
after this,
totally cover that.
hopefully after this, all of them can make them like this instead of
Yeah.
using a merge tool.
So what's happening here? This merge is slightly less complicated because we don't have we only have two. This is an add conflict. It happens when two different branches add the same new file. So in this case, we only have two options to go with. What we're looking at here is this marks the beginning of the conflict at the position at head. Head in GitSpeak is where the current commit, where the current commits head, the current branch's head is at. The equals set up where the conflict region ends for that commit, and where the next one begins. And this marks the ending of the second conflict area and which branch it belongs to. In this case, it's branch 2. So if we wanted to do this manually, and we already know what it was, we could just delete all the git markup, mainly this, and leave it like this. And then we just save it, and that's it. Now I'm not going to save this because I want to show you how the git the diff tool works, the merge tool works. Sorry. And let me see if I can zoom in on this.
Oh yeah, you save that part if you're doing them like this. You don't have to deal with
Exactly.
the next part.
What I like about using a merge tool is that it gives you the sections side by side, so it's easier to determine. For sections that are a lot bigger than one line each, it's a lot harder to determine which line corresponds to which and where everything should go.
Sometimes it's a mix. Sometimes you have to take a little bit from this one and a little bit from this one.
Exactly. Like in this case, for example, I can't just pick one over the other. Usually, you can. In some instances, you can pick one over the other, but in this case, you just have to merge them both. So
Another thing that I like about this, like using git space merge tool of the command line, is that it maybe there were 5 files in the queue of of conflict files. Well,
Right.
it knows which files those are. I don't have to go through the file system looking for those files. I just do git merge tool, and it gives me the first one. It opens my merge tool for me on that file, and then I can merge it, save it, quit, and then it gives me the very next one. And there are probably other tools that do the same thing, but back before I was using a merge tool, I was using Richard's manual method, and I wasn't very good at it like Richard is. He's like Chuck Norris. But when I was using it, I would actually have to go into the file system. Like I would actually go into Visual Studio of all things to actually resolve my conflicts, and my head wanted to explode. Anyway, go on.
It's okay. So, so I'm going to do here is, without going too much into KDiff, KDiff basically allows you to pick each conflict. You pick one side or one or more sides of the equation. So in this case, we've got a left and a right, local and remote.
Gazi,
Yeah.
can you do a little bit? Can you explain a little bit about what local and remote mean in this scenario?
Sure thing. I was just about to get
most
to that.
time there will appear another column called base.
Yes, and I'll show you an example a little while later. But for now, since this is only an add conflict, we only have two. We have local and remote. Local is head basically. It's the branch I want to merge to. Sorry, not precisely. It means local is really the file as it is in the branch I want to merge to, and remote is the file as it is in the branch being merged. So in this case, local is the file on master, and remote is the file in branch 2. So what I'm going to do here is, since I need both of them, I'm going to select lines from A, and I'm also going to select lines from B. Now, A apparently had a line break at the end of the file, which I may or may not want to keep. For the sake of this exercise, I do want to keep it, but I don't want to keep it there. I want to add it at the end. So KDiff also gives me the ability to edit the text beyond just picking sides. So okay, so now this file looks more appropriate. So now I'm gonna. So it says that there's a line style conflict, and this was another side effect of how I did it. For local, I used git bash and echo to just write the text of the file, which, since git bash sort of emulates the Unix environment, it used Unix end lines. Whereas for the second file, I used Notepad, which uses Windows end of line characters. So now it's saying that it can't save because there's a conflict between line endings. So all I have to do is pick one, and I'm going to stick with Unix just because I like it better. And I'm going to save. Do it, and if I check my git status, you'll see that new file.txt is now marked as modified and staged. You'll also notice that there's this extra file here that KDiff creates by default, which leaves you with the original file in case you wanna double check. And you can see what the file looked like before you resolve the conflicts. This is a good idea to keep around in case you accidentally resolve the conflicts in a manner that is not the expected. So you can always just come back to this, replace this file. Replace the new file with the contents of this, and start over. So now that we're done, let's continue committing. It automatically creates the message for me, and now we're here. See, sorry. You can see what my tree looks like now. Regarding what Byron asked later, see right now this one is red, this one is pink, and it's just the colors basically indicate like a path of sorts from one to the other. So you'll notice that pink starts at the first commit, and we've noticed that this branch is here, and then there's a new one here, and now it's a new color here. So it sort of helps the user follow paths by choosing specific colors. So that was us solving a conflict by merging manually. So now I'm going to show you an example of the other one. So what we're going to go back to where master was originally, and we're going to pretend that there was a third branch being checked out. So we're going to check out a branch called branch 3, and it's going to start at the commit where master was originally. So this is where it is, and you notice we're now at branch 3 here, which is where master was a while ago.
Just a question before. Can you scroll a little up in your command line? Scroll.
Sure. What do you want to see?
I saw that the ORIC file, and you did just a commit. That removes the ORIC file automatically.
No, the file is still there. I didn't delete it. You'll notice that it's still here.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
It's just untracked, so I didn't worry about deleting it.
Okay.
But since I've already solved it, there's no reason to keep it around. So now we're at branch 3.
Hey, Gazi. Sorry for interrupting again. For me, those original files usually go away automatically. I was under the assumption that if you merge the conflict successfully, then that file goes away. Is there something else going on that I didn't know about?
This is a kdiff feature. I mean, this is a kdiff command line argument. By default, when Git calls kdiff, it tells it to create an original file before saving any changes.
Okay.
So it's sort of a safety net.
I must have that as a feature, or in my settings somewhere. I must have that turned off because mine always deletes those.
Okay. I'm not aware of. I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked into kdiff very much, but there might be a flag for that. I don't know.
Okay. Carry on.
No problem. So now, let's see. Echo line 3. New file. Text. Let's see. Sorry. I want it to be status. This was supposed to be cat, sorry about that. Alright, so now we've got our new file, and we're going to do git add new file. We're going to do git commit added new file.txt as well. So now just so you can see that this will result in a merge conflict.
Not this exact merge line, but this is similar to what GitHub does when it checks to see if a pull request is mergeable. So we'll see that thing at the bottom of a pull request that says it can't be merged.
Correct.
It does something like a pre-merge, like almost like a credit card pre-authorization, just to see if it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this merge conflict that we're seeing right here, if it were in a pull request, it would have that gray box at the bottom saying it can't merge.
Exactly. So so what we have now is so let me show you git k again, just so we're clear on where we stand. I'm gonna abort this merge, since I just wanted to prove to you guys that this would result in a conflict. We aborted our merge, and this is where master is, and this is where branch 3 is. So now, what I could do here is what I did before, or I could rebase the branch, which would allow me to move it more easily. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to call git rebase. I'm going to pick my what my parent branch was, which was master. And then I'm going to add the I flag, which is an interactive rebase, so I can actually see what's going to happen before I go through with it.
So you're on master. You're on the master branch right now.
Oh, sorry. I did not notice that. My bad. Thank you for pointing that out.
I'm here for you, man. But another thing I was going to ask is, you might have this in your plan. We definitely want to talk about why not to merge master into your branch 3, which
Correct.
is a lot of times the default idea of, this is what we probably should do because we need to resolve the conflict somehow.
Yeah. So, like I said, if we merge, okay, let me actually show you this by actually, it's easier if you can actually visualize what's going on. So if you look at this, for example, let's look at branch 2. You'll notice that branch 2 has 2 commits, and they're independent. And if I were to cut that branch out, I could move it elsewhere and still have branch 2 with the exact same 2 commits. Now, if I were to actually, I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to undo my changes. So let me actually, I want to press pause on this and finish rebasing, and then we'll cover what you asked, because I don't want to lose my train of thought.
Right.
So I was going with the rebase. So I'm telling it that master is my parent, and I'm going to go interactive just so I can see what's going on.
Question. You're on branch 3.
Yes, I am on branch 3. Yes, go ahead.
Question. What happens, for example, you're just like saying master rebase from master, but what happens if you have like an old master and there has been like 1,000 pull requests merged into master and you haven't updated your master?
All right, so this is predicated on the assumption that you have already updated your code base.
Like a
If
poll.
not,
Yes.
you can specify your remote, right?
Correct. So if you don't want to do a pull because it's too complicated, you can always do a fetch just to get fetch that will pull your stuff.
Exactly.
And instead of doing rebase master, you could do origin or whatever your remote is called, and do origin/master.
Yep.
Thank you for bringing that up. So now this document that pops up for the rebase. So rebases, you can see all the different options that you have here: pick, reword, edit, squash, fix up, exec, and drop. So pick is the default. It basically does the same as a cherry pick, except that you can do these several in a row. Reword, well, everything is pretty much well explained here. Squash is an interesting one. For those of us who, and I say us because I do it often, for those of us that tend to commit really small things because either we're getting up or we're leaving the house for right now, and we just want to make sure that everything we've done is saved, and or we have all those
pair programming.
Yeah.
Or like dueling devs, pair programming, and like this guy said, I'm making the test pass. This one says I'm making the test fail, and red green refactor, that kind of stuff too.
Precisely. Or we're doing, or I don't know, or you have a lot of commits that contain the word oops.
Or I don't know.
Yeah. So there's a squash option that allows you to basically group one or more commits together as a single commit. So if I had another commit here and I wanted to squash those into a single one, I would just pick the one that where I want to start squashing and change this pick to a squash or an S. It's an alias that you can use. And I really don't want to go too much into that because it's not really relevant to the topic, but feel free to ask me questions later for those of you who work with me. And I'll set. You can also check the Git manual for rebase. It's pretty comprehensive and it's not that convoluted. So once I've checked that, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that this interactive mode is really informative and interesting.
Yeah.
And it is helping you to explain it. But just for some devs that maybe are thinking it seems very complicated, there's a lot here to it. I've actually never in my life used interactive mode for an actual rebase. So Gazzy is like to me a Git ninja, and so he's able to get more juice out of this interactive mode. But you can also not do interactive mode, and you can still have success.
Correct. I'm obsessive, so I just kind of use interactive mode to be sure that I'm actually rebasing what it is I want to rebase, that I didn't screw up the command line, because it has happened to me a lot. One more thing that I just want to mention that you can do is you can reorder commits. Like the order, when you have more than one commit, they're displayed one per line, and if you move one line up or one line down, you're reordering the commits. Sometimes that can be valuable, but most of the times it's gonna it's going to cause more problems than it's worth. Because usually, if you have commits in a certain order, chances are that the last commit depends on changes from every commit depends on changes from its parent. So if you change the order around, you might be introducing some conflicts that you're going to have to resolve, and it's more work than it's really worth. But it is an option, just so you know, you're aware. And okay, so now that I've checked, I can save this file. I can close this file as is, and it'll do the rebase for me. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to delete this file, and as long as there are no lines, it's not going to do anything. And I'm going to do it the way that Byron did. I'm just going to do git rebase master. I'm going to start, and it obviously ran into conflicts because that's the whole issue. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my merge tool again, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to grab the lines from 1 and the lines from local and lines from remote, and then I'm going to save. That's going to do it. So once I'm done, I do git rebase -- continue, so the rebase continues.
And you do that after every single, like, let's say you've got a big rebase and you end up with like 10 different steps in the rebase where you end up with merge conflicts. So
Correct.
You're going to do a git merge tool, and then you merge it, and then you save, and then you exit, and when it gets to the finished line, you do git rebase continue so that it goes on to the next commit so that it can maybe finish the rebase. Is that right?
Cool.
Is that correct? That's the workflow?
Correct. Yes, that is the workflow.
So it's not, you don't have to like recommit every time you don't have to re-add, recommit. You can just git rebase continue.
Correct. The beauty behind rebase also is that while you're stuck in this in a merge conflict, you can also edit files. You can also edit non-conflict related files. So you can edit your commits before rebasing them. I have never actually had to use it, but it's there. So now that we've done rebasing, you'll notice that my new branch. Sorry, what was that?
There, if you do that, you might get some issues further down the road when rebasing. For example,
Exactly.
you change something that it's going to be added in a later commit, you can mess things up.
Exactly.
Cause more work for yourself.
Yeah.
Precisely. So now that we've rebased, you'll notice that my new branch 3 is no longer starting here. It now starts where master is, and if you look at the changes, it's no longer adding a new file. It's just editing a file that already existed and adding line 3.
Cool.
So I could have, in theory, as well edited the commit message before doing git rebase continue, and instead of the commit message being adding new file, I could have just changed it to added a new line to new file. So now I go back, and at this point, if this were a pull request, this is one of the few instances where a git push, a forced push, would be a valid option. Once I've done rebase, there is no way for me to push this branch back up to GitHub without doing a force.
Unless you delete the branch.
If I want to keep the old branch around just in case, there is the alternative that before I do a rebase, I create a new branch at the same location, do the rebase on that one, and push that one upstream. So that way we keep both branches around in case something screws up. But that's more of a safety feature, and it depends on how obsessive and security conscious you want to be. I mean,
what might be a scenario when that's necessary?
If the rebase is pretty long and there were lots of conflicts, you might want to keep the old branch around just to make sure that you didn't screw anything up. And if, for example,
okay,
sorry,
continue. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you finished.
And let's say that this rebase wasn't just 1 commit long; it was 20 commits long, and I had to resolve 6 different conflicts. And I'm not 100% sure that I fixed them all, but I already rebased on the original branch, and now I have no clue where the old branch used to be. Now, well, actually, let me add something to that. And I already pushed up the branch. Because if I haven't pushed the branch, I still have the old reference in origin where I can get where the original commit used to be. But let's assume, for the sake of argument, that I've already force pushed this new branch, and now I have no clue where the old branch used to be. There's this feature in Git called Git reflog that shows you a log of where the branch has been in the last couple of times. So,
and that's different from just git log, because git log shows you the commit trail to where to what you're looking at right now, but reflog, on the other hand, shows you the references, which is even more detailed.
Yes. Now, there's one thing to take into account. Git reflog is local. This is not something that is kept in the remote repo. This is a log of all the things you've locally done to change that branch. So if you delete your repo or if you clean your reflog and try to do this again, you're SOL. You're screwed. So in this case, let's say I already I could we can see here that this line right here is where my old commit used to be, where I added new file text as well. So if I wanted to keep that around, I could create a Git branch and call it branch 3 original or something, and base it off of this commit. Now if we refresh here, git k, you can see that branch 3 original is here where it used to be before. Just in case you want to, like I said, you want to keep the old branch around and make sure you didn't screw something up. So now let's go back to our quote-unquote pull request, and let's try merging again.
Just a question. Do you think, and this is for Byron, well, for anyone that can answer, if we go that way, saving the original branch, since we're deleting after merging a pull request, would it work with your flow? For example, if we merge a pull request, we add a more.
Yeah, I mean
we're going to.
This is definitely, it would definitely work. I mean, the whole point behind keeping the original branch around is just as a safety net. Like I said, this is more useful in larger rebases where you ran into a lot of conflicts, and you're not 100% sure that you resolve those conflicts as they should be. They're either because it's so long that you get tired, or it's late, or you just miss something. Or or the developer doing the rebase just simply doesn't care and just picks whatever they want first. And obviously this is going to result in the main branch, in this case master or develop, being in a state that is not appropriate.
Yeah.
So
I can think of a practical instance where that might be useful, like making a backup copy basically of your branch before you rebase. Exactly. If you have, so we don't really do branch per feature. We kind of do branch per card because we use Trello. Right. So if you're on a card and heaven forbid you're in a card for 2 or 3 days, so your card and your branch are pretty old. I mean, there maybe have been hundreds of commits added to the develop branch since you checked out at first, and you haven't been kind of trying to rebase a little bit. And some crazy developer like me comes along and refactors a bunch of crap, and so you're way behind. If you sense that might be the case, well, red flag already is your branch is more than a day old. So the longer your branch is in existence, the farther behind it gets, the more likely it is you're going to have a nightmarish rebase. So if that's the case, if you're already getting some of those red flags, then it might be a good idea to back up your branch. Or if for some reason you're doing something directly on master or directly on develop, I'm not sure when that would be a valid scenario, but if you're doing something directly on one of those branches, like a community branch that everybody's using, then a backup there might be in order. And then But hopefully nightmarish rebases are not
Mhm.
going to happen to you
Yeah.
if your branch is relatively recent. It's not much more than a day older, day old or more. Ideally 2 or 3 hours old.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, it is a method that we could use, and I mean once QA is done and says the feature is done and it's working and nothing else broke, then we can just go ahead and delete the old branch. There's no need to keep it around anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see, where was I going? Oh, there's a question from the audience. So Osman asks, the foo on the reflog is to be able to reset the branch like git reset head foo. Yes and no. Uh, thing is, just gonna paste this so everybody can see what the syntax used in the question was. So this syntax is not exactly as it should be. So if I wanted to reset the current branch to a commit, I could. All I have to do is something
Like
that is
paste the commit,
commit-ish.
like the first 10 characters from the commit SHA or something like that.
Yeah. So anything that's commit-ish. So it could be a branch name. It could be the first few characters of a commit hash. It could be a relative commit. So you'll notice you might have noticed that I did this a while back. I did git reset head little what's this called? This character.
Casita.
I forgot what this one is called right now, but
Exponential? Or something
little
like
triangle.
It's a carrot
Thank you,
in
carrot.
English.
that. Oh.
Thank you. Slipped my mind. So head caret 1. There's two different syntaxes here. I'm going to start with the tilde one. Head tilde means the commit that is number of commits my ancestor. So if I do git head 1, this results in my immediate parent. This would be my grandparent and my great-grandparent and so on and so forth. This one is a little different. When you do, this one is useful for merge commits. So, for example, if I'm, let me show you this actually. So, if I do, I'm going to show it to you right here. GitK allows you to pick a specific commit. So right now I'm at master, and if I do 1, it's going to take me to the first parent in my commit. In my commit merge. So you'll see it moved me to here, to this one, to my first parent. Now if I go back and I do caret 2, it's going to pick the commit for the second parent in this commit master, in this commit merge, sorry, merge commit. So what this means is go to the I'm in a commit, I'm in a merge commit, and I want to pick the second parent in this commit. Now, usually, the first parent is where the original branch used to be pre-merge, and the second parent is the branch that was merged. Now, chances are you'll probably only ever have to deal with one of these, but there is a chance you at some point might have to deal with one of these, or these, or these.
And that's the part where it gets really scary.
Yeah.
I
mean,
I'll describe to you what I do. In fact,
Mhm.
I never use head caret even 1 because I don't until now I've never really understood what it meant.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I do. I actually will do git log most of the time, or git ref log if I really get desperate.
Mhm.
But a git log will show you the trail of commits, and like many times, maybe even once a day, I have to reset to something. So
Mhm.
I'll reset back to maybe 2 commits, 1 commit back, or 2 commits back, and I'll just copy that. It gives you a little bit of the commit hash. I'll just copy that right off the screen and then go to git reset, and then I'll paste it in. Also, I'll switch between soft and hard. So a hard will will not preserve any of your changes, and a soft will actually preserve the changes that you currently have, and then we'll apply the commit. So I'll kind of bounce back and forth between those.
Right, and that's really usually what I do. I mean, I only ever use this tilde or caret syntax when I'm really in a hurry and I don't have time to open git log, but I already know for a fact that I'm using the immediate commit, so I just do head and that's it. It's sort of become second nature to me. So it's a question of practice, I guess. Practice.
Yep.
So just to finish answering the question, basically, like I said, you can do git reset and anything that references a commit. It could even be a git tag. Anything that Git recognizes as a reference to a commit, you can use in a reset or any other Git command that expects a reference to a specific commit.
So we've got 20 minutes, 10, 20 minutes left. We can go over if we have time, but what are some of the last things we want to talk about? And by the way, if you're out there in GitHub or in YouTube land or watching this somewhere else, then please let your questions find their way into the Hangout so that we can answer them. But what do we want to talk about in the last few minutes that we've got? Actually, I'll take this opportunity just right now to paste or to post this link right here, so that everybody can take a look at Acklin Avenue's Git guidelines. This is a living document that we're letting. We're going to modify this and let it kind of grow over time, so that Google link will lead you to a Google Doc, and anybody in our company definitely can access that. In fact, do you all have any problem with just making that public to anybody with a link? I don't have a problem with that. So let's see here. I'll do that. I'll make sure that anybody can access that in the community too. And feel free to take a look at that document. That's gonna help guide us as a team. So what else do we want to talk about before our time is up?
I don't have anything specific to talk about. I'm setting up a conflict example so that we can look at what Rene mentioned earlier, having a base, a local, and a remote in a merge conflict. So while I'm setting that up, if anybody else wants to pitch in, please do, because I'm going to be quiet for a while.
You're gonna show us why not to merge instead of rebase?
No. I just want to. I mean, I think we've already covered that, unless I missed something. But what I'm going to do right now is just I'm going to illustrate a conflict where there's three sides.
Yeah, that's right. I may have been looking at something else, and I didn't, or I may have been listening to or not paying attention or something like that. Shame on me, but I didn't hear when we were talking about directly why not to merge instead of a rebase. Now the main rule is just never do it. You're inside of a branch for your card, and you can't. Your pull request is denied because GitHub says it can't be merged automatically. So then a lot of people will come back to their branch in the command line and say git merge develop or git merge master.
Right.
And then their problem is solved seemingly for just that moment, because then they can push that in. There's not even a forced push, and then GitHub is happy and everything is great. Then you can move on to the next card. But who can say just in one or two sentences why that is horrible?
Sorry, just to be clear, we're talking about merging the main branch into the feature branch, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So actually, I can show you that right now. It basically, I mean, it basically destroys the whole branch per feature or branch per card system. I mean, it's no longer just easy to see each branch and everything that that branch did off the bat. So, so for example, if I were to do this, right now I created I forced the conflict, and now I can't merge. If I were to follow what Git does, I would have to do this first.
Yeah, the most common um, command the developer uses git pull.
Exactly, and yeah, but doing when
Yeah.
some people do git pull origin master into their feature branch, and this is basically the same as doing a
Yeah.
fetch and then merging master into your branch, which is
Yep.
not something that we should
Yeah.
do. So let me just show you what happens. Sorry.
While you're doing that, Osman asked, what's the correct way to delete a branch locally and then the one pushed into the repo? And I can go ahead and answer that. So it's two separate things, right? You can't do that in one, unless you set up like a batch or a macro or something like that. You can't do that in one action. So you would delete it in GitHub either by going to the UI and deleting it with your mouse, or you can actually delete it from the command line, and I can't remember the exact syntax.
You push
But,
and you add like two dots before the branch name. Yeah,
Right.
okay.
that way.
Look at my screen,
There you go.
and this is the
syntax.
syntax to delete a foreign remote branch.
Right. And then locally, it's just git branch -d and then the name of the branch.
Yeah.
So you got to do it together. You can't just do it in one command, unfortunately.
So, so Byron, back to your original question. So this is what happened. I had a conflict in branch here, in conflict branch 2, and I followed GitHub's instructions. So now you see that this is where master used to be, and then I merged it here, and then I remerged this branch into master. So now I've got this whole mess where my conflict branch 2 has two parents. It has the original master, and it has its own commit. So now it's no longer one branch per feature. Now it has features from any other branch that may have been introduced in this interim right here. So now we've just basically destroyed the whole branch per feature thing.
Now, what are some practical consequences to that?
Um,
Does it cause anything to be hard in the future?
if we at some point, okay, it's not something that happens very often, but it might happen that you have to revert a merge because for some reason, or maybe there's a feature that you don't want to implement yet, that the client changed their mind and they don't want it out there yet. And since we don't have feature toggles in our system, we have to revert the commit, and then eventually down the line we're going to have to rebase that branch over the new developed branch, reinsert it, and push it out to the client. In this case, attempting to rebase this branch while it being merged, it having master merged into it, is going to be a pain. It's going to be a real pain.
If you merge again,
What do you mean?
on top of?
You can't merge the original branch on top of because it's already merged. It was reverted to be a git revert, but the commits already exist, so merge will do nothing. You're forced to rebase the branch and remerge it elsewhere. I mean,
so you basically you cause problems for yourself or other developers if you do that, even if it seems like it's fixing your immediate problem.
Correct. So so let me just go back here to where everything used to be, so I can show you again what the what a three-sided git conflict looks like. It's hard. Let's see. Let's hope I didn't screw anything up. Yeah, so there we go. So I created two branches. One changes line 2 to say new line 2. The other one changes line 2 to say better line 2. So I've already merged the first one into master, and now I'm going to attempt to merge the second one.
Hey, this happens in a practical sense. This happens when we're working on maybe separate cards, but we have both edited something on a common piece of code, like a common function, a common service, and maybe we thought you thought the variable name that was used needed to be renamed to monkey, and I thought the variable name sucked also, so I changed it to bear, and so then we get this.
Exactly. So now you can see that we actually have three sides to this conflict. We have a base, a local, and the remote. So local and remote are still the same, still have the same meaning they had before. Local is the file at the current branch, and remote is the file at the branch we want to merge. Base is what the file looked like the last time, in the latest common ancestor between both branches. So if you see here, you'll notice that both branches branched off of this commit, this one right here. And at this point in time, this is what the file looked like. So that's what base is. Base is what the file looked like the last time, in the latest commit that is an ancestor to both the current branches.
The GetK diagram really helps there to describe that. And I had actually never known that. I never realized that it was like the most recent common ancestor.
Yeah. Yes.
Now the next two, the second one and the third one, confuse me sometimes because I don't always, if I'm doing a big rebase, which I shouldn't, but if I'm doing a big rebase, I don't always know which one is mine and which one is like theirs.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because rebase changes the terminology a little. Base is still the same, but local and remote change a little. Local is what the file looks like in the previous commit. So if you're rebasing and you're at commit 3, it's what the file looked like at commit 2. And remote is what the file looks like in commit number 3.
So it's not always like I read local and remote, and I immediately think that local that must be my file, and then remote is theirs, but it's not always that.
That is correct, and that's another terminology, ours and theirs. And depending on when you're merging, ours and theirs is always ours and theirs. There's no problem when it's just a merge. When it's rebase or a cherry pick, then the meaning changes a little, like I said. So ours is what we have at the latest commit, the latest set commit, and theirs or remote is the commit that we're either trying to cherry pick or rebase. So it's a little confusing at times. I get that.
No, that's not confusing at all.
So this is and let's say the third party decided that it's true. Better line number 2 is a better line number 2. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with the better line number 2. Unscrew new line number 2.
Hey, can you? Oh, dang it! I was going to show you or point out something that I really like about GetK, or not about KDiff.
Not a problem. Let me just undo this for a sec. Let me hang on. Git reset. Head. New file. Git cp new file orange or new. Let's do git merge tool again. Sorry.
It might not be that important.
I'll just restart the conflict. The merge, I mean. What?
I'll just tell you what it was, because it's not that important to show. Though it was cool. You might be able to get it here. Yeah. Okay. So in GetK, try to do this, Richard, with your hardcore text editor. But let's say I'm not really sure. Like, just my brain is hurting already, and so there's a lot going on there. I mean, we're dealing with 3 lines here, so this is pretty easy. But uh, it's been a long day, not enough coffee, and I'm not sure which one. Line two or line 3. So what you can do in Git K is just like Control 2, Control 3, which that will let you visualize the middle and the third column together, and you might not really want both of those at the same time in the end, but you can actually just visualize them right here, and it helps you to see, and then you can just take out, you can do Control 2 to get rid of the second one, and you're left with the same thing that we ended up with before. And you can also edit it right here in Git K, like what Gazi was doing. That's all.
So illustrating what Byron was saying, I could just as easily do this. So it's a new and a better line too.
Right.
Yep.
The only thing is it doesn't compile here. So after you do something like this, it's very, very important to run gulp again or build or get into your compiler and make sure things still work, make sure your tests still pass.
Yes.
Also after a rebase, because normally people rebase their branch and push directly.
Yes.
Or do the merge without tests if the rebase was successful. Well, it could be successful, but didn't test the changes.
Or you made a mess.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if there's anything else I need to add. I'll just go over my notes real quick.
I have a question, but I'm not sure if maybe we can have another meeting for that. Like handle single commits. Like for example, normally when we are working in different teams, we have branch with more than 20 commits, or 10. 20 is too much. But then maybe you want just to keep your some commits, like handle the commits individually. Like, okay, I have my branch and I want this commit specifically. So maybe instead of work with git pull, git merge, or whatever other command in Git, like handle single individual commits.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I follow.
Like
He's
the
referring
use
to
of
cherry picking.
cherry picking. Yeah.
Okay.
When it's useful, when not, or.
Okay. Really. Okay. So Git cherry pick and Git rebase do sort of the same thing. The difference is Git rebase helps you, let's say, cherry pick more than a lot of commits at the same time.
Rebase is like a batch where it cherry picks for you.
You can do a cherry pick, for example, if you have one of your coworkers doing a spike in a different card. He added like 10 commits and just one of them is useful. Just pick that commit, pull it, or something like that. I mean, I haven't done that, but you can get the sense of when you can use it.
Git cherry pick is more useful for tinier operations. You know, maybe you just want to add 2 commits, so you can cherry pick them both at the same time. You do git cherry pick commit 1 and commit 2 in a single command, and that's it. If you wanted to accomplish the same with rebase, you could totally do that. You could try to rebase their branch on top of you and do an interactive rebase, and then just delete the commits that you don't want from that text file. But that is kind of a lot longer than just doing it with Git cherry pick. Whereas once you get to, let's say, 10 commits and you want to pick 9 of those 10 commits, it's much easier to do Git rebase and just delete the 1 than to add the other 9 to a cherry pick command. So it's more of a question of how big your task is.
How GitHub has recently introduced an extra option when you're merging a pull request, where it will actually squash the commits. Is that something we should be doing?
That is entirely up to us, I guess. If like I said, if the commits are, if there's too much, it's really up to us. I guess it's a taste decision.
I think it messes up with your amount of commits in your profile. So
Well, I mean, if we want to help our profiles, we can just commit every minute, like, or maybe
Yeah.
even set up a little script that automatically commits every second or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's really a question of tastes. I mean, if we want cleaner branches, we can do squashes. If we don't really care, then and for us, I think we fall in the don't care column since we
Yeah.
basically delete the branch after a pull request is done. So, it's a question of tastes, I guess. You know, just remember that any changes you do to the history should be attempted only when you're the only one with access to the branch before you pushed it. Because once you push it, attempting to rewrite history is I don't even have an adjective to describe how bad that is.
Yeah, and cherry picking and rebasing is a way of rewriting history just in a controlled environment.
Yep.
Sort of.
Yep.
Another thing I wanted to mention is that this is something we were talking about in our powwow before the show, the session, and that's that I don't know. Sometimes we as developers we resist looking at documentation just because we might see it as something that's not necessary at the moment, or we can figure it out as we go. I know firsthand what it feels like to spend 6 hours or a whole day rebasing crap because I didn't understand how merges work or how commits work or how a rebase works, and I could have saved myself a whole lot of time, a lot of frustration. Like, what programmer enjoys being stuck in a merge in a merge conflict hell, a cycle of never ending? It's like a Twilight Zone episode. Who wants to do that? So we can actually save ourselves as developers a whole lot of time and spend like 15 minutes reading a little bit of documentation. The Git SCM documentation is really well written. It's not like super entertaining, but it's short and to the point, and it's really great. The document that we had, the link that we had posted up earlier. You can rewind a little bit in the show, and you'll be able to see that link. But that link has that document has some links to the Git SCM documentation that
You know what would be
will point
cool?
you directly to the right place, and it's awesome.
Something cool that would be for our training, maybe just like create a test repo and just add up a bunch of challenges there that
I
has
like that.
you have to rebase this, you have to cherry pick this or stuff like that, so they can actually test.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah. I gotta say, GitK has been like a godsend to me. It's how I've managed to understand so much about how Git works, and I highly
And
recommend.
everybody's got that, right? You
Yeah,
don't have to install something extra for that. It's just at the command line gitk.
Yes. For Linux users, I think it doesn't come by default with Git, but you can just add it from your favorite package manager, be it Yum, be it apt-get, whatever. I'm not sure about OS X. I think
Yes.
it also comes. It does. Okay, cool.
Yes.
And definitely for Git for Windows, it comes in there. And if you're more of a console person, you don't have to use GitK. You can use GitLog with these two flags, one-line and graph, and you'll get the same thing.
Very cool.
But it's really helpful. It really is helpful. It's helped me actually visualize what the source tree looks like, at a commit level, and it makes it a lot easier to understand how rebases and cherry picks work.
And it's kind of like Neo in the Matrix. At some point, it clicks and you start to be able to understand these lines and what they mean.
Precisely. So I would highly recommend. I highly suggest, and you know what? Just do it. Learn GitK. Do it.
It'll save you time.
Yep.
And you'll be a ninja like Gazi and Richard and Renee. Okay. Well, we're probably out of time, and we've probably run out of things to talk about anyway. Actually, I have a feeling that we have a lot more to talk about, but we got things to develop. We got code to write. We got Git commits to make and rebases to battle.
Yep.
So, thanks for your time, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.